in your house this I don't have my heat on yet.
It didn't happen, but
That's okay. All
She's
right.
warning us.
Hi.
Morning.
Okay, so I know a lot of people are going to be by recording, so I was trying to set up the camera so it doesn't look like you won't see the back of my head. Let's start. I know some of you might have some questions and some feedback, so let's start with that.
I don't have any questions or any feedback.
You don't have any questions or any feedback? Ah, okay.
That shows you that I'm not doing it at home too much, unfortunately.
Okay.
I couldn't remember the one we did against the wall.
Okay.
I stood against the wall and I thought, so
Okay, we'll review that.
everything else is neutral, nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Okay. Mary had a question.
I have a million questions.
A
And so
million.
it comes up in the moments. Well, let me just go through what I asked you.
Yeah.
On my right side, I fell on my knee about a year ago and was doing physical therapy, and it's just, and then I realized I was probably overdoing it because I think I kept re-injuring it. So I've been backing off on that, and it's getting better. And then a few months ago, I was sitting in the middle of a couch, I'm here, and the back of my hip started to really hurt. So now I'm like up on these cushions like this, and that's sort of better. And then I went dancing. I really did something to this muscle here. It's going away, but if I'm sitting and I go to get up, boy, do I have to get up real slow. Boy. So it's all on the right side. And I guess my question was, are these all interconnected somehow?
Does it feel deep or superficial?
This? It's right here. It's right in the front. I can feel it right, when I get up. I mean, it's down in there, but I can really feel it when I'm trying to, lift myself up, and it'll relax and it'll go away.
As soon as you stand up?
Yeah, within a few minutes. Yeah, then it goes away.
So it's always hard to say like what came first, right? And where you're showing, is the path of the psoas.
That's what,
right? That is how the psoas would run. That's why I was asking if it feels deep or superficial, because if it feels like it's right on the surface, like you could touch where the pain is, that would be abdominals. But if it feels like it's actually living,
it's way, yeah. I can feel it all the way down.
Yeah. And again, you're running the whole length of the psoas. So most likely is psoas. It could have been just from the dancing, right? And it could also have something to do with your knee injury and the back hurting, because you had shared with me before about the sitting in the couch.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to what I was talking about, the car seats.
Oh, yes.
If we're sitting in a bad position and the seat is emphasizing that bad position, and the older we get, the quicker the fascia is going to conform to our position, because it like us doesn't want to move that much anymore. So we feel like, I'm fine right here, and the fascia's like, okay, we're going to hold this, but it's not because it doesn't want, because it's getting lazy. It's because it just doesn't have the amount of it doesn't have the amount of moisture anymore. It doesn't have enough of the hyaluronic acid to keep it flowing, like we talk about in the fascia workshop. So your psoas is sounds like it's so you're sitting in the chair, and so your psoas is hardening into that position. And then when you go to get up, it says, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Right. It says, I'm still hanging out like this, and now you want me to flex and come up. Actually, what you're asking you to do is straighten so you can come up and not have a hip crease anymore for the moment that you're standing. But the hip flexors and the psoas are both going to resist an abrupt movement. And so the injury of the knee could certainly have affected the psoas, because it changes our gait, and our psoas is very attuned to our gait. I mean, it's a tuning our gait, I should say. It's very, because it's a hip flexor, it lifts the thigh bone up. It is involved in walking. Also, the other part of it is when, so you take a step forward, you lift your knee up, that's psoas. You step down and then you push off and your leg comes back behind you. That leg that you just lifted comes back behind you. Now the psoas has to lengthen, has to stretch. And if it's kind of hardened and it's not feeling like it wants to move, both of those movements are going to be difficult, whether it's contraction or it's stretch. Just imagine you've taken a rubber band that had a lot of elasticity. Well, a bungee cord. I know I have this with bungee cords all the time. Or sheets. I'm having this problem with my sheets. You put the sheet on the bed, it's an older sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Shot.
And then the elastic is just shot, old and crumbly. And that happens with bungee cords too. It happens with rubber bands, right? They just don't have the recoil anymore. They dried out,
Yeah, dry
right?
rot.
It's
That's what I
dried
call
out.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
many
it's a good
times.
explanation that you're,
That's what that's happening to our psoas.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
but the whole thing that you're saying is really, really good explanation
Yeah.
for everything that goes on with us
Yeah.
as we're aging.
Right.
Which
Now
is why we
imagine
need
you
to be
have,
here.
what's why you need to be here. Now imagine you have a bungee cord, you know, like something that you use to strap something down. And you take that bungee cord and you wrap it in packing tape from the top to the bottom. You wrap it in packing tape and then you try to stretch it. Something's got to give, right? Either the packing tape is going to keep that bungee in its original position. It's not going to allow it to stretch and to flex and to move even, you know, you won't be even easily bend it at 90 degrees like you could before it was wrapped up, right? The bungee cord in its new position is going to conform to anything that you do to it. Any way that you want to move it, it's going to easily conform. But once you wrap it in packing tape, it's not going to anymore. The packing tape is your fascia and it hardens with age. And so now when you're asking your psoas muscle to unflex when you're standing, and to also when you want to take a step back, that leg is moving back, you're asking the fascia, the psoas again to lengthen, and it doesn't want to do it. Now, what wraps that in, what wraps the packing tape around is staying in the same position. So as you're sitting there watching TV, you have a little gremlin inside of your body wrapping packing tape around your psoas. And if you have an injury, the packing tape comes around it pretty quickly because it wants to immobilize it so it can heal.
Okay.
But nobody takes the packing tape off. That's where that's where it comes into movement. That's where the more we move the psoas with intention, the more exercises we do that target the psoas, the more that packing tape is going to dissolve away.
Well, that example you had of the holy man with his arm up, that just was amazing. I thought, okay, but you said something about 12 years. I thought it just didn't seem possible, but that explains a lot. Yeah. And nobody talks about, I mean, this is all new to me. Nobody talks about the fascia. It was always muscle.
Yeah.
Do this, you know, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
You take a look at people who have been paralyzed or something, and they've been sitting in a wheelchair their whole life, and you see not just the atrophy of the muscles, but you also see that there's almost like a solidifying of the bend in the knee and the bend in the hip. It becomes really difficult. That's why they take, you know, a physical therapist will take your leg and move it around a little bit. It's not because they're trying to rehab the muscles that are not reacting to the nerve impulses anymore, but they're trying to keep a pliability and a flexibility in the body. So absolutely can be all connected. It absolutely sounds like your psoas, and it's not permanent.
no, like I
Right.
said, I can tell things have gotten better, but they've gotten better because I've been doing this one is great, these exercises, and I really slowed down at the gym. And now I'm trying to get a mindset of what we do here when I do an exercise there, and I'm really slowing it up a lot. And things I can tell they are getting a little better. This is something because I took so long to really do this right. This is, you know, it's like every morning I lie in bed and I do my little exercises. But the other day I was thinking, oh my God, this is really great. My knee's really good. And I was just lying in bed. I hadn't even got up yet. And all of a sudden it started going, and I was like, come on. So I knew something was going on, some kind of little connection there, because I hadn't even been on my feet yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, and
Mhm.
that's explains a lot.
It explains, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the psoas lift really is such a great exercise because you don't even, I mean, it is to strengthen the psoas, but if your psoas is like congested and that packing tape is around, it's also doing that. And that's
Mhm.
why I said, I think I said in this class that your psoas is gonna seemingly get strong very quickly because you're not necessarily strengthening the muscle, you are removing the coating from the muscle, the hardness that's around the muscle that allows it to move. And that change can happen very fast. If anybody watched the video of strolling beneath the skin and you see how quickly, did anybody watch that?
You sent that?
I did.
You did?
It's on your, I didn't send it. It's
Oh.
in your account. And if you look under your,
Oh,
what do they call it? Content, you'll see it in there. It's a
oh,
link.
okay.
It's a
I didn't know
YouTube
there
link.
was anything in
But
there
what
like
you
that.
see is you see the tissue, the strands of the fascia shifting, just moving around, and you see little droplets of water changing and creating new strands. So, and that's happening in real time. It's not like, when we talk about neuroplasticity, that I think that takes a little bit longer, right? But this is happening. Your fascia is changing shape constantly, and so if you work the muscle with intention, you're heating it. Like when you work a muscle, you're heating it, right?
Mm.
That heat is also going to help to make that muscle more vibrant and more movable.
Yeah, I just had this thought, what about things like castor oil packs? Would that help?
It could help. Yeah, it's hard to get into the psoas because it's so deep
Yeah.
in there, right?
Yeah.
So you might want to try castor oil on your knee,
Oh,
right? See if that helps with your knee. You could try it. I've never tried it. I have done castor oil on my knee. I've done comfrey on soft tissue injuries, and that really helps, comfrey root. But I've never tried it on the psoas.
all right.
I've never used castor oil like that. Well, I've never used it really. I remember it was given to me, I think as a child, right? Isn't it a laxative
yeah.
too?
Is that castor or cod liver? Maybe it's the same.
Some, I
Castor,
know
yeah, it is
some-
castor oil.
Some kind of bottle was coming off the shelf.
Yeah, you were running.
And I was running.
We used to spit them out. They had a candy coating. We'd all get them, suck off the candy, and then go outside and spit them out.
No, my mother took a tablespoon, and I think it's something to do with old Italians. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a laxative. You can use it as a laxative. Okay, so we're going to review the exercise against the wall, and then we're going to work on stretching. Does anybody, well, we have one knee issue, right?
I'll be good.
Two, okay,
And a heel.
and a heel,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. My heel is really giving me a lot of grief.
Mm.
Is it plantar fasciitis?
I've been told that it is. The pain is around the edges and on the sides. It's somewhat in the bottom.
Is it burning?
No, it's just really tender. Really, really tender. I can't walk barefoot. Walking barefoot is
Yeah, that sounds like plantar fasciitis.
brutal. Yeah. It's like really soft sneakers or Birkenstocks is all I can put on my feet. It's been a while, but I have knee injury, and I think that it's just happening. I went dancing too. I can totally relate when you said that. That was in July, and it's still bothering me. I'm supposed to have an MRI on my knee, but I had to cancel that and reschedule, so that's not till next week. The x-rays are all normal. I'm kind of at a loss, but the discussion of fascia is resounding.
Mhm.
It does ring true.
Yeah, and that's another class, of course,
Yeah.
but all of y'all need fascial release. That's all I have to say, is that that's going to help with all of your hip flexors, your psoas, and your knee and your heel. Yeah, and it's not, I went and I got body work on Wednesday, and I'm like, why do I delay it so much, right? And she was.
So do you mean like a massage or something special?
She does more than just a massage, right? So she's very intuitive, and she works. She said to me, well, I know you came in for your knee, but it wasn't ready to open yet. I'm like, of course, that's how I work with the fascial release too. If something's not ready to open, We have to go, we don't know what's ready to open. We don't know what layer needs to go before what. And oftentimes when I work with somebody and they're like, oh, now it hurts here. I'm like, great. That's good. It hurt here, but now it hurts here. It's like, great, because that's uncovered. That means we've
Really?
gotten rid of one adhesion and now we're going to work on the one that was really causing the problem.
Mm.
Right. It's
Right.
really hard to tell. I can't look at somebody and say what that is.
Well, just like when you're explaining to her too, a lot of times knees, it's our hips that are causing the knee problem, you know,
Right.
so especially in women.
And it also could be our ankle. You know, it
Mhm.
could be our foot. So it's hard to say, or top down or
And it's
bottom
all
up.
connected.
It's all
You can't
connected.
separate anything.
Yeah.
We should be flowing. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah,
Flow.
we're aiming for a flow. Okay, let's come to the wall.
Psoas is waking up.
What are you doing? You're gonna come to the wall and lean against the wall with your back.
That's for me. Okay.
And then perhaps make sure your feet are away from the wall. Do you want to stand next to me? You want to make sure your heels are away from, actually, let's switch sides. Make sure your heels are away from the wall, so they're not right knocked up against it. You're gonna let your head come back and then move your weight over to the left foot and then take your right knee up. Because of your heel.
Because I can
Okay.
barely stand.
Okay. Let's come back down to the ground. And you can
I'm sorry.
It's okay. This exercise is on the last recording anyway. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lay down on your back. And we did this last week too. You're gonna lay on your back and have your knees bent so your feet are flat. So you're gonna imagine your foot is stuck in molasses and you're gonna lift up your right foot. And I want you to put a little bit of resistance as you lift your right foot up, just a little bit of resistance, take it up and then down, good. And then the same thing with your left. Not so high, just a little tiny bit, let it hover and down. And so you're gonna do that back and forth. And then as you're doing that, what I want you to notice is if your back is flattening into the ground, if your hips are shifting side to side, if your abdominals are engaged.
Do you want all that to happen?
No, I just want you to, that was just some suggestions. So
Okay.
you're gonna see if any of those things are happening. Okay, did anybody find anything?
Mhm.
Okay,
Shifting.
shifting.
Yeah, I feel my hips shifting.
Okay,
Good.
now I want you to do it again, and I want you to try not to shift your hips. So you can put your hands on your hip bones, your frontal hip bones, and kind of hold your hips steady, and then try again. I really want you to feel that your foot is stuck down to the ground. So you're gonna give a little bit of effort. Yeah, that should make it a little bit harder to do it.
Now this, it can feel sort of like my lower abdomen, I guess.
Okay. Now you're gonna stick your hands, one or both hands under your lower back with your palms face down, not under your sacrum, under your lumbar. So you're below the waistband is still on the ground. If that bothers your shoulder, maybe just keep, yeah, just one hand is fine. One
Okay.
hand is fine. Under your lumbar spine, not your sacrum. So you're gonna keep that lumbar arch lifted away from the ground and you're gonna do the same thing. One at a time, slowly, stuck in molasses. And it's the moment that you intend to lift your foot up and that you actually lift your foot up, that's when you're gonna feel when the compensation occurs. So what happened now that we did that? Did you disengage your abdominals?
My abdominals actually fired up to do that.
Okay, see if you can arch your back off the ground a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, that's different.
That is different.
How is it different?
You don't feel the abdominals as much.
Right.
Can you feel what you think might be your psoas?
It feels tight somewhere.
Yeah, okay, now take your feet wider apart and turn your toes out to the side. Turn your knees out to the side a little bit. Yeah, and now try that again, lifting from your inner knee.
Inner knee.
Yeah, like you had a string attached to your inner knee and that's what's lifting up, yeah. Yeah, look how much your hips are shifting now.
Oh, yeah, major. And you don't want that happening.
No,
What should I do?
I mean, if they're gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Can I have a sandbag like right across there?
Put your hand there.
With the size
Yeah,
of my
try also without your lumbar spine arched, because that may be, remember we have levels of difficulty and having your lumbar spine arched may be too difficult. Okay, all right. So this is engaging your psoas. All right, now I want you to take your toes to point forward and take your right knee into your chest. Yeah, you can wrap your hands around and pull your thigh in. Take your left knee, and do this very slowly, please. Drop your left knee open to the side. Yeah, as much as the outside edge of your left foot down to the ground as possible. What changed when you did that? Nothing?
I think it was easier.
Easier to pull your knee into your chest?
Yeah, because at first I thought I was gonna get a cramp, and then when I did that,
Okay, now what I'd like you to do is take your left heel and move it towards your right sit bone as much as you can, and try to point your left knee more towards the front of your mat.
I'm getting a cramp. Yeah.
I mean, I feel a major stretch.
Mhm.
So say that again.
So you're pulling your left heel towards your right sit bone.
Okay, and then pull this tight. The right-
No, don't worry about the top leg. Actually, we're going for the bottom leg. So you're gonna move this over here
Oh,
and you're gonna move this down. And you're gonna try to
Oh.
point this knee towards the front of your mat a little bit more. Yes, shift it over this way a little bit more. So you're gonna look into your left leg. This is a psoas stretch for the left side.
okay.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
stretching.
Good.
You
Wow.
may also feel it on your IT band, which is in the outside of the thigh. Does anybody feel that?
Yep. What's your IT band?
On the outside of your thigh.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm feeling it more midline
good.
and inner.
Inner, good.
I actually feel it on my obliques too.
Okay, good.
I mean, you know, it's not like real pleasant. But
You're still smiling. All right, go ahead, put your right foot down, slowly take your left knee up.
oh, that
Take
feels
both legs straight and see if you can feel a difference between both legs.
Oh yeah, this one's much more, I guess, relaxed.
Maybe you feel your left leg is heavier, it's more embodied, it's more a part of you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a major
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I almost feel like I'm uneven.
yeah, okay, now you can go home. Haha, just kidding. All right, so let's bend both knees, put the feet flat on the ground. Okay, you're gonna draw your left knee into your chest, just to get it out of the way.
Oh, okay.
Drop your right knee out to the side.
Oh, gosh.
Wait a minute.
Definitely tight
Stretch
on
your
that
leg up to the
side.
ceiling.
Doing it.
Yeah, stretch it up to the ceiling there. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
If you're not cramping, you're gonna start to move your right foot more towards your left sit bone. So just shift your right foot over to the left side of your mat. So you're gonna both shift the right foot over to the left side of the mat and then maybe a little closer, the heel a little closer to your buttocks.
Wow.
Don't do that.
Wow. Days. Right side much tighter than left.
Yeah. Mary, are you feeling it? Because that's the harder side for you.
I'm feeling this more, but I was getting a cramp, so I had to
Right.
kind of relax it, so I gotta just.
You can pull see if it happens if you pull your foot away from your hips a little bit and then push your foot towards Barbara more. Yeah, and then let your knee
That's
drop
better.
open.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's better. And we want to push this down.
Just let it fall.
Alright.
This is a great pose to do in bed.
mhm.
And here's another way you can tweak this pose. The knee that's in your chest, your right knee, just move it a little to one side. And that should change it a little bit. And then you move it to the other side. And that might change what you're feeling a little bit. So this stretch is not about the leg you're pulling into your chest. Just remember that it's about the other leg that's dropping down to the ground. Okay, stretch both legs out.
So we can do that like before you even get up in the morning or
Let's
no,
see,
should
before
we-
you get up in the morning, let's do a morning routine. But how do you guys feel? How does that other leg feel? Do you feel like you're even now?
more even.
Yeah,
I feel
Okay.
even.
all right. So I wouldn't do that right off. Could be an intense stretch.
Okay.
So let's say the first thing you do is take your feet wide apart. Soften your knees a little bit. Your legs are gonna be straight. And just point your toes in with your knees following, and then point your toes out. And just shake your legs back and forth like that a few times. In and out, in and out. Okay, toes in, toes out. How's that feel?
It's doable.
So it's a good first step. And then you can bend your knees, keep your feet wide apart. And then take your knees side to side like a windshield wiper.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, let's all go in the same direction.
I thought I was hitting the, what do they call those?
Blocks.
Blocks, yeah.
Okay, how does this feel? It's okay for
These are
everybody's
good.
back?
Yeah,
Okay.
These feel so good on my low back.
Okay, and then after you do that, let's do that leg lift that we did. So you're gonna do very small movements, like your foot is stuck in molasses. And you hover one leg up, not that far, just a little tiny bit. And then you put it down and you hover the other leg up. So whether your lower back is pushed into the ground or not, after you do a few of them, it should feel a little bit easier, maybe a little easier to arch your lower back off of the ground. How's that feeling? Okay.
yeah.
And so remember, one way is to have your legs close together and your feet turn forward, and then you can take your legs a little wider apart and turn your toes out.
And this is when we lift from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now what you're doing is you're engaging the psoas, so you're getting it warm, you're loosening the packing tape. Okay, and then you could go into that stretch. So I think that would be a good sequence for getting up in the morning.
Okay.
I do feel this here.
Okay, move your foot more towards Barbara. Yeah. Yeah, does that change it?
A little bit, yeah.
And then move your knee over towards your right shoulder. Now the top knee.
Oh.
Yeah, move it out to one side and then the other side,
Ah.
and then see if that changes it.
Oh,
Does it change it?
makes it feel tighter.
Okay, that means you're getting into the tight place.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, so if you're doing the psoas stretch, you can switch sides.
So I think I travel a little bit.
Mhm. Okay, and yeah, that actually would be a good thing to do also, if you're in bed before you get up, is to do a little bit of tremoring. That can either be the first thing that you do or the last thing that you do. You can stick it in anytime in between. And let me also show you a constructive relaxation pose. So you're going to bend your knees, drop your knees to touch, and walk your feet wide apart. And that's it. You just let your knees support each other, and then you can rest your hands on your stomach. And you can just think about where the psoas may be lying underneath your hands. And then let the warmth of your hands penetrate down into your psoas. How's that feel?
Lovely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna stay in bed.
Yeah.
Right, so you either have to wake up a lot earlier or. Okay, when you're ready, come on up. All right, I'm going to show you a few other psoas stretches that you may or may not want to try along with me. It's up to you. So one is, this is also laying down, but I want to caution you that if you feel this in your lower back, it's just not the one for you. Okay, so you would take something kind of soft, but also not too soft. Actually, I'm going to change the camera on this. I apologize, those of you who are watching, for my camera skills today. Okay, so you would take something under, you could use a block, and you would take it again under your sacrum. You could also use a bolster. So it's under my sacrum. That always means it's below your waistband. And if you remember from the pictures, you have this ridge here in your pelvis, and the psoas is going over that ridge. So the higher we lift this ridge and we drape down this part of the psoas and the bottom part of the psoas, the more it's going to stretch, right? So this stretch would look like this. I have my sacrum on the block, and I'm just going to stretch one leg out, turn it to the side, turn my toes out to the side, and now the psoas is here, is draped over the ridge in my pelvis. I'm sure it has a better name than that, and it's stretching here. I'm going to do the other side just for the camera, and I'm going to try not to lean this way. I want to keep my pelvis centered. Now, if this feels okay and you're not feeling twitching in your lower back feels fine, what you can do next from here is this. Very similar to what we were doing, except this could be a little bit more intense or less intense. And then you can do that with both sides. And then both legs out. I don't recommend doing both legs out until you really feel that your psoas is stretching and your lower back is fine. Okay, and then to come out of this, you would bend your knees, tip your tailbone up, lift your hips, and move the block out. So that is not recommended for everybody because it could be a little ouchy in the low back and the sacrum. Okay. Another psoas stretch, also a hip flexor stretch, is to come into a low lunge. Now that's not going to work for everybody because of knee issues or whatever. But there's a difference in the low lunge, that when you have your feet close together, so my knees are about hip width apart, then when you have this. Because remember, anytime I take the leg out to the side and turn the toes out, I'm getting into the psoas. So it's not on this leg, it's on this leg. The back leg is the one that's feeling the stretch. The wider apart I walk my feet, the more likely I am going to feel it in the psoas. Now, also coming up like this is going to be different than coming down like this. Right, so you can play around with those positions and see. I like to, when I'm in this, I like to take this back hip and pull it around. For me, that gets into my psoas even more.
So do that.
Yeah.
Let me see that movement.
Let me take this off. So my hip is forward and then I'm going to rotate it this way.
Just a little.
Yeah. We want to remember that pelvis, I know it sounds obvious, but maybe it's worth saying that if this is your pelvis, if I'm moving this part of the pelvis, this part of the pelvis is going to be affected, right? So that's why when you took your leg up, when you were in that stretch that you were all oohing and eyeing over, when you took your leg up, you started to pull the pelvis up like this. The psoas is wrapping over this way. So when you dropped your knee out to the side, it started to pull on that. And then when you took your knee forward, it started to pull on it even more. So it's not about the leg that's in your chest. We took the leg into the chest so we can tip the pelvis up like this and get this side to open. So it's the same thing in that position. It's essentially the same position you're on your back, right? You're going to pull the knee out to the side. It's going to tip the pelvis this way, and it's going to affect the leg that's behind you. So it could be, I know it could be confusing. You get into the pose and you're like, I don't feel anything in my front leg. You might feel something in your inner thigh, but that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for the stretch in where you now know where the psoas is. There's another way. I'm just gonna mute, pause this for a second because I want to get a chair. So you can do this on any piece of furniture. It could be on a couch. It could be on a chair. I would recommend a table. Would not recommend a table in case it didn't come out clearly. Okay, so the stretch would be to take one foot up on the chair and to come into a lunge position. Now my back is stretching. Get on this side. Now you see my back heel is coming off of the ground. That's so I can really push my hips forward. And then I can kind of dunk this hip down a little bit. If I turn my tailbone towards the chair, that's going to make this line longer. Here's one thing, how can I get this point to this point as far away from each other as possible? Because that's what's going to stretch the psoas muscle. But we have to do it in a way that doesn't hurt. So I can take these two lines apart by going like this, but that's crunching into my lower back. So that's no good. So if I do this, already the line is a little bit longer because it's got to go over that ridge. And now if I do this, the line's going to get longer. So that is to say, when you come onto the chair, if you're going to do this, if you're going to arch your back forward, push my lower back forward, it's not going to be as effective as if I keep my tailbone turned under. Okay, now we'll try this. You can come onto the chair. What we'll do is we'll have kind of a round robin. Let me move this out of the way because it's confusing. You can be on the chair just like this, so you're not bothering this knee, and just do that and see if it makes a change. That is going to make a change. If I turn my toes out and keep my pelvis forward, it's going to make more of a change towards the medial line. Okay. But then if I go like this, it's going to be even more of a change. Now I'm not going to keep my heel on the ground, as I said, because that can help me get my hips further forward. If I keep my heel on the ground, I'm going to be limited to something like this. All right. Who wants to try the chair? Who wants to try the block under the sacrum? Or I think the bolster under the sacrum is nicer.
The bolster.
Lay down on your back.
Do this or something bigger?
We have a bolster right behind you.
Yeah, I do. I was just
Yeah,
wondering.
you can
when
try
I-
that. Absolutely. So you'd lay down on your back first, then you lift your hips up, put the bolster to the side, put the bolster to the side, lay down on your back, then come into a bridge pose, and then slide the bolster underneath you, or the towel, whatever you're gonna use.
Right under the waistband, right?
Right under the waistband. Wow, that was very slick.
Handle, these little handles.
So, yeah, they're handy, but they're only on one side.
Some of them have it on both sides.
Oh.
Yours actually has one on both sides, I think. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. All right, now press your belly button down to the ground. Mary, back up a little bit. Move your whole body back. Yeah.
That's too, okay.
Now just pushing your lower back down to the ground, right? And now take your right leg out straight
Oh,
and let your heel drop to the ground. Yeah. How's everybody's back so far?
Good.
that's
Fine.
good.
Okay, turn your toes out to the side. And then slide your leg out to the side a little bit. And then you can take your left knee and just press it out to the side. Yeah. Change anything?
I feel like it's opening things.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can really feel it down.
Okay, and then if you want to try, but please go slowly, and you are welcome to abort mission. Pull your left knee into your chest towards the side, like pull it in towards your armpit. Yeah. You can use your arm. Change anything? No?
Just continues to feel like I'm opening up the area.
Okay.
But not in a painful way, which is very pleasant.
Okay, good. All right, and then try that on the other side. So bend both of your knees, put your feet flat. Keep your
Yeah,
left.
just shifting there, boy, could I feel it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take your left leg out. If that feels okay, you're gonna turn the toes out. And then if that feels okay, you're gonna slide your leg out to the side. And if that feels okay, you'll start to draw your knee in. Yeah, if there's any pain, come out, take a few steps
Tailbone,
back,
under or
up to the ceiling.
Okay.
Belly button to the ground, tailbone to
Oh,
the
that makes
ceiling.
a difference. Yeah, I forgot that.
It feels counterintuitive. I feel like I would do the other thing to stretch this, but when I see you do it, it makes perfect sense. It just doesn't feel it.
Think about that lower ridge in your pelvis. You want to poke that up.
Yeah,
That's the fulcrum.
make that longer.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Okay. You want to try both legs out?
What do you mean by that?
Straighten out both legs.
Straighten out both like
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pull your belly button down, pubic bone up to the ceiling.
That actually feels good.
All right, and now to come out, you're gonna bend both knees. Let's do a nice counter, hug both knees in towards your chest. Take your knees wide apart, cross your ankles over each other, and just let your thigh bones drop down towards your chest. And you should feel just nice in your lumbar spine. Okay, so you really want to remember, especially if you're just watching the video and not here. I'll emphasize that if it doesn't feel good, you'll come out. Also, what works on one side may not at all work on the other side. So be willing to go with that. All right, whenever you're ready, come up. Yeah, take the bolster out. roll to one side and then come up to sit. So you absolutely can use a folded up towel. Towels are better, a little bit better than blankets. They don't squish down quite as much. I wouldn't recommend like a throw pillow. There's just not enough body in there. Really, really important to remember, it's going to be different from side to side. That's all you have to remember. It's going to be different from side to side. So don't expect one side to feel exactly like the other side. Be willing to let it go. I would suggest if you know one side is tighter than the other side, start with the looser side. Start the stretch with the looser side. Before you go to stretch your psoas, make sure you're working it somehow. So that's why we were doing those laying down marches. You can also do the leg lifts, like we learned the first day. You can do that to work the psoas and get some movement in there, get some blood flow, start to loosen up the packing tape. Go slowly with the psoas. You want to go slowly with the psoas. Think of it as a little baby bunny that you don't want to startle. Okay, you do not want to startle the psoas. That's why I'm not necessarily in favor of somebody coming after you with a stick that they're going to start digging into your psoas. That is not, baby bunny would not like that. Think of yourself as a baby bunny. What's going to make you come out of the little hole, your little warren, not somebody running after you with a stick. So just go really slowly, be really gentle. And any questions about what we did today?
Well, these videos will stay on our account. Good, just to look them over. And
So they're on our account? Okay, because I think I got one in my email.
You did. I sent the first
one.
The first one that was going to link you to the place, I think, where all the, I don't know, I might have sent the YouTube video just to get some of these started, but it's all linked into your account.
Okay.
So when you go there, you'll see the videos of these classes. You also see some of the videos I sent you about. Oh, maybe I didn't send you Strolling Under the Skin because that's a different class.
Oh,
Yeah. What class did that go
something
in?
And that's the fascia class.
Oh, that's a fascia.
Yeah, so we're going to do our last fascia class on Monday, but I think it's such a great complement to this. You can still purchase it and just do the videos.
Because was that all online?
That was all online. Yeah.
Fascia.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
I need to like get a chart on my wall in the bedroom to remind me of all this stuff.
Yeah. So just remember though, the important thing is warm up first, engage first before you go to stretching.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons the tremoring is really good, because that's going to start to shake it up a little bit. It's going to start to soften the tissue and it's going to relax your nervous system. I'm finding more and more people are very surprised that they wake up tense. And they're like, why should I wake up tense? That's only on movies and commercials where people get out of bed like, oh, I'm ready to face the day. No, usually we wake up and we're like this.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what the heck we're doing.
Especially if we've been woken up by an alarm, you know,
Yes.
not naturally.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you got
Yeah.
this alarm that goes, and you're like, ah. And then you've had wacko dreams or, you know, whatever it is. We don't wake up all relaxed and like smiley like they do on it was the Irish Spring, I think, the commercial. Like you had to be in the shower before you felt good, right? That's more truth than anything else. No, it was
When you
toast.
talk about doing now we know that you have to warm up before you stretch. I mean, this is how, you know, long I've been doing exercise. They weren't doing that. And I remember when that transition happened.
Yeah, it's changed back and forth.
Yes,
a few times.
it was like we would stretch without warming up.
Yeah.
And then when that came around, I was like, because I pulled a lot of muscles back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, duh, of course you need to warm up first.
So I always thought stretching was the warm up.
Yeah, see, it depends on when you actually went to PE,
right.
how old you were,
Yeah.
right? And it's not that way anymore, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so
Yeah.
we're showing our age because that's what we did was the stretch. And then we learned, no, you literally have to do like a little aerobic
Yes.
warm up.
By the way, me too. We were taught
Yeah.
to stretch first.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
bounce and do those.
Oh,
kinds of
bounce,
things.
yes.
Yeah.
Bouncing.
The
for sure.
tremoring, I always thought that was done after you did things.
Oh, it could be done anytime,
Oh,
but
okay,
it's done
okay.
afterwards in the case where where you're learning it, because you're setting your body up to be able to tremor.
Right.
And you have to do that by telling your muscles, it's time to let go so we can tremor. We're gonna do this. It's like a 5-minute warning.
Okay.
But you can certainly tremor before. In fact, it's I've done it a few times. I've done it in class a few times where we've tremored first and then we've done asana.
Okay.
Or we done asana and then we tremor and then we do the same asana again. See, how does it feel? Is it different now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tremor? Is it more than once a day, or should this? The reason I'm asking is I had my class yesterday, and I did really got into the tremoring at the end. So then my friend who cuts my hair, she's very into yoga. She's much younger than me. So anyway, I said something to her about tremoring. She goes, "What are you talking about?" She'd never heard it. And I'm in her house. So I said, "Well, I'll show you." I said, although I said I might forget something, I'm going to try. I said to show you exactly how I get into tremoring, what you're teaching me. And I didn't tremor. And I thought I did everything that you've showed me in the class yesterday. So I said to her, I said, I wonder, because I tremored, like it was probably like 3 hours. Now I could have tremored again. Okay, so I said to her, she was getting on YouTube, because I said, I'm missing something. I can't pick up what I'm missing.
It
But
could also be the environment is really important.
That's
The
okay.
what I
intention
think.
is really important.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the first time I really tremored in that class, I was surprised because I had never done it that much when I was home. I think you're right. The environment is like somebody's gonna walk in, it's almost like you're ready to stop.
Oh yeah,
So,
I'm sure if my
yeah,
husband, like if
do.
I do it at home and then he'll walk in, I mean, I can't even, what the hell are you doing? That's why I put notes on outside the door in the spare bedroom, meditating, do not knock, do not disturb. I'm gonna put tremoring.
You don't want to know. Tremoring, you don't want to know.
My husband's
Enter your own
long
risk.
past the "what the hell are you doing" phase.
Okay, so try some of those. Try out the morning routine. See how it goes. The morning routine does not need to be the morning routine. It could be your afternoon routine. It could be your evening routine as well. But if you find that you have trouble getting out of bed, then you might want to try this and see how it goes.
Now I feel so much better. This is how I knew that all this is helping me, is getting out of bed, getting out of a car, getting off the couch. Like I feel like a different person. And I was walking a lot prior to coming.
Walking, it's
walking
interesting that
just
we
didn't
think,
do it for me.
it's
like
like I
that.
have a good friend who works in the trades, and he said, I don't know why my body's falling apart. I work at such a physical job. And I've been thinking about this, about how we move our bodies utilitarian wise is not necessarily exercise. So if you're walking, if we're walking and that's getting cardiovascular, that's burning calories. But if you have a gait that's hurting your body, it's still going to hurt your body. Right? If you're drilling a hole in the wall, your shoulders are getting strong, but that doesn't mean it's good for you, right? I even had a dancer in here yesterday, and she said, I can tell this dance is like destroying my body, right? You think, oh, all dancers are in great shape.
Yeah, but
they're
their
moving all
bodies
the
do get
time.
destroyed.
Their bodies are destroyed. So
Ballerinas,
we can start to think about what we're doing just in the house in general and see, how can I make this actually an exercise? So being physical, yes, is exercising, but it's not necessarily healing exercise. It's not necessarily good for your body. So you may walk, but you may also be exacerbating the problem as you're walking.
When I go for a walk now, I walk faster, even though my husband thinks I'm a very fast walker, but he's slow because I don't think I'm that fast. But I'm walking even faster, more energy. And I don't feel like I'm throwing my gait off as much, but I know it's because of this kind of exercise that I'm strengthening parts of my body that were like desperate.
Yeah, your walk will change.
I noticed I have a dog, she's about 30 plus pounds, And it was just enough for me to pick her up. We got her in December. And I was getting to the point with that, you know, she just doesn't want to get in the car, so I have to pick her
Oh,
up
yeah, I have
like
a
this.
bulldog like
And
that.
it was really horrible. The other day, I just whipped her up and put her in the car. And I thought, it just happened. And it's ever since I started doing this.
Ah.
Yeah, it didn't bother me at all.
Well, you become very conscious of how your body's moving, you know, just bending, you know, doing stuff around the house.
Most important point I would like to make is we can change it. We can make a difference. We can stay strong as we age. We can stay more limber. Is it going to be like when we were 20? No,
No,
but it can be okay.
yeah, it can be a better 60, a better
Can-
70,
right.
you know,
Right, better 80.
we'll work toward these.
All right. Okay. So practice your morning routine or whenever it's going to be. That's another good thing, is to see when it's going to be best for you. You might want to do a little bit before you go to sleep. Maybe you'll sleep better.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it is relaxing.
All right, and we'll see each
Thank
other
you so
next week.
much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I will try to get here, but I might not make it. I
Okay.
have to drive an hour and a half away. And then if I can leave where I'm going, I can get back here. So we will see.